June 14th, 2017, Brawl Stars' most controversial brawler was added, one who's said to be either the devil or a gift from God. Everywhere from his highs to his lows, he would soon prove to be incremental to the game. This is the story of Mortis. Back in beta, Mortis was, well, interesting. You see, the maps were two things. They were vertical and really small, which made a brawler whose kit involves dashing forward really good. With incredible reload, he couldn't be stopped since his dash mechanic stretched over 3 tiles long. With only 2 swipes, he could make it super far along into the map. And along with this, auto-aim wasn't a feature. Instead, you had to tap to shoot your shots. Because of this, Mortis would excel, creating an unhealthy dynamic in the game between him and every other brawler in the game. Because with tap to shoot, he had a slight advantage in that he could tap to where he wanted to go compared to the others which had to tap to shoot him. And you can see how this was really hard. Sharpshooters couldn't hit him at all, throwers couldn't hit him, even tanks, since their attacks were extremely weird to hit because of the tap to attack feature. Bro could dash across the map and no one could do a thing about it, making him especially broken in gem grab, and I think you can see why. At this time then too, there were only like 15 brawlers, and with over half of them being countered by Mortis, this was definitely his peak. Or was it? Because later down the road when Brawl Ball was introduced, he was incredible. You see, his attack is interesting, where he could take the ball, kick it, dash forward, repeat, and profit. This was due to how shooting the ball didn't take ammo and that his range was so much longer than it is now. Though shortly later, his attack range was decreased by 25%, seemingly destroying him in his viability in Brawl Ball and in most game modes really. Though he still stayed pretty okay. Later on, his star power Creepy Harvest was added, completely changing Mortis's kits. With this, whenever he defeated an enemy, a skull appeared on the ground, which he could then pick up for some health. Pretty similar to Gus. I think this star power was pretty neat, since he could pick up those skulls 90% of the time and they gave decent healing. Compared to the tidal wave of nerfs to Mortis initially, he later got some buffs, like health buffs and damage buffs. Though he did get another range decrease, all the way down from 3.75 tiles at the beginning of his release down to 2.33. Probably one of the biggest nerfs in Brawl Stars' history. Despite this, he remained a favorite in the community for no reason whatsoever. Soon after, his range was bumped back up to 2.67 tiles and later getting a ton of buffs over the next few months since Bro was so trash. This all led up to December of 2018 where Global was just on the horizon. By the end of 2018, Landscape was introduced, indirectly nerfing Mortis a ton. Because of this, every sharpshooter became incredibly strong since they had increased vision, and with the introduction of auto-aim and joystick, they excelled. This made every melee brawler, and especially Mortis, weaker than dirt. Due to this, Mortis got a couple of buffs in later months to solidify himself back into the meta at least a little bit more. His star power was reworked to instead of dropping skulls when defeating brawlers, he would immediately get health, which kinda just made it more reliable than it already was. Mortis then remained untouched until he got a new star power, Coiled Snake, which would increase his range after a few seconds. This star power would be a decent addition to his kit, though this still remained pretty lackluster compared to the other. Along with this, his combo spinner and survival shovel gadget would help him increase his DPS and make him slightly more viable competitively. After these though, he lay dormant for a little while until Mortis got a needed rework. The charge bar from Coiled Snake would be added to his main kit, and the star power was replaced with a shorter cooldown for said bar, being a really bad star power. This change further made Mortis a better pick, but he still stayed weaker than most brawlers. Well, with the influx of new brawlers, like literally 2 every update, more and more counters are available to destroy him. Literally everyone can take him down easily unless you're a thrower or just terrible at the game. He's such a unique brawler that overbuffing him would destroy the game, literally, but underbuffing him would just keep him at a bad spot. There's a really fine line that Supercell has to hit, and that's just not happening anytime soon. The biggest problem with Mortis is actually his popularity. According to this Reddit post, I know that's reputable, it states Mortis is the most picked brawler in the game, and due to him being a high skill cap brawler, and with his intense fan base, you're bound to have most of his players being horrible with him, thus getting a bad random every other match. And to the 4 people who are actually good with him, everyone thinks they can be them too. Because I'm not gonna lie, if you're good with him, you can dominate a game easily. If not, your team might as well be 2v3ing them. Along with this, as stated before, his ability to easily be countered is just crazy. Like with other brawlers, you can probably outskill a counter. Not with him, he doesn't stand a chance. And in most cases, he melts before ever laying a finger on them. And unfortunately, he's everyone's top pick in Brawl Ball. One of his worst game modes if played bad. Similarly, he can't really synergize with anyone. To the average player, he only really shines in cleanup and with brawlers who can give some sort of status effect. Okay, now how should they go about to rework him? I'm no competitive player, but there's a few things I do to rework him. First, I change his star power where every kill gives him 10,000 more health and a 1000% damage boost whenever he dashes. Let me know what you think down below. That's so stupid.